What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. It's Monday, so time, and it's time for the mock draft Monday. Last week, we did a half PPR mock draft. You can actually see it on the screen here. Half PPR, 12 teams from the 9 spot. And we forgot to check flex spot. No one said anything in the comment section, but we didn't add a flex, so we're going to add that this week. We're going to go to full PPR this week, sticking with 12 teams, and we'll do anything that's not within one of 9, 6. Nice. We'll go with that one. So, 12-team league from the 6th spot, full PPR. Why don't we also add a third wide receiver? That's a pretty common setup in full PPR leagues to have, the 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end, the flex spot, the defense, no kicker, and we'll do 6 bench. Also, a change I'm going to make is we're going to add quarterback to, let's just put very high. That is something I've seen. Again, Underdog is different from redraft. These mock draft Mondays are for redraft. 2 other videos each week are going to be for Underdog, at least once we really get into like the 7 videos a week, which is actually probably happen next week. But even like Underdog is a very, very good indicator of how are things looking, because it's the only site right now that's getting a ton of traffic where people are drafting for money, and we're seeing ADPs of quarterbacks go really high. I expect that to be the case in redraft leagues as well, so we'll put that on very high. Obviously, rankings will adjust to that, but right now, again, it's early May until we get rock-solid rankings, which Fantasy Pros, way better than in previous years this early. So, of course, I say that, and Justin Jefferson's available for us at the 6th pick right now, but let's just see when it ends up happening. Oh, my goodness. Just a huge run at the running back position. Christian McCaffrey, Austin Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan, and Barkley. Now, not crazy to see something like that happen, but we are going to disallow it. In a 3 wide receiver league, full PPR, Jefferson's not there at 6. It's just not going to happen. So why don't we edit the Eckler pick? We'll put Jefferson in there. We'll see how they simulate it after that. So they're going to go Eckler, Taylor, Bijan. I mean, they're basically just going to take the 1 pick away. This is more realistic. My guess is that you would probably also end up seeing Jamar Chase, but it's not crazy to think that people, want to go hero RB maybe and say, if I take these like insane pass catching running backs, maybe besides Jonathan Taylor, but these pass catching running backs that, could rack up 70, 80, 90 receptions as your only running back, and then you just hammer wide receiver after that, it's not a bad move. So not super unrealistic. For us, we're at the 6th pick. I'm not going to make 2 edits. We'll make 1 edit there. We will hide drafted players. No way you're looking at quarterback. We took a tight end last time, I think, but I'm pretty sure we did. Yeah, we did. We took Travis Kelce last time. So we won't do a Kelce build, but also at 6. And also another thing, I guess that's a good thing to bring up. You're in a league right now, because we're drafting it, with 3 wide receiver spots. That's 1 extra spot that is not tight end. It devalues tight end, devalues quarterback. It's not that much, but for every single running back you add to the starting lineup, every single wide receiver, even flex spots, because you're typically not going to start a tight end in the flex spot and you can't start a quarterback in the flex spot. When you're adding those spots to the starting lineup, you're devaluing the positions that can't go in those spots. So that's why wide receiver value goes up and why everyone else kind of takes a little bit of a hit. And then, of course, if we look back at last week, well, we didn't have a flex spot at all. So tight end was even more devalued, though, or more valued. It's more devalued when looking last week to this week. They're less valuable now. They're more valuable last week because it made up a bigger section of the starting lineup. So all that being said, we're going to look at my rankings. I have in full PPR, Chase, then Kupp, then Tyreek Hill, then Saquon. So we're just going to draft Jamar Chase, and we will make a decision in the next round. After we go, Kelce's the only tight end. We're not expecting to see Mark Andrews until that, I would say that round 2-3 turn, pretty similar to where he was going in previous years. We do see Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Adams, Lamb come off the board. That's standard. And then we see Saquon go right after that. We see Jacobs, Ken Walker. Again, like I've said, Ken Walker, I'm not going to be adjusting it because I'll have to adjust it in every single pick. He is not going to go this early. My guess is he goes late third round, but it depends on how much they expect to use in the passing game. I have him way later than that. I guess, where do I have him in full PPR? Because full PPR, he tanks. You guys didn't love my ranking for him when I talked about it last week. I moved him up a little bit since then, but still 5th round in full PPR. It's just so unlikely that he's used a lot in the receiving game, especially now that they have JSN, who's going to take a lot of these like short targets. It's just like they're going to throw so much to these wide receivers. We know Ken Walker is not a great receiving threat. We know they drafted 2 that are better than him. It doesn't make a lot of sense that he's going to have a lot of receptions. You wouldn't take him in the first round in a full PPR league. But other than that, everything looks pretty solid. Chubb, Stevenson, Breece Hall, Derrick Henry. You know, I'm not going to fault anyone for taking any of those players. So pull up the cheat sheet. Top running back, Tony Pollard. I have to imagine that is the same in my rankings. Tony Pollard I have at the 209. We're at 207. Looks like my rankings are favoring, definitely favoring wide receivers. So I actually have Diggs at 109, and my rankings assume not having 3 wide receiver spots. It assumes 2. When you add in that third one, obviously, like I said, value goes up. So I don't even think we think about this much to take the top receiver. Would I fault anyone for going with a owner here or Garrett Wilson? I would say those are the 2 you're really considering there. Maybe AJ Brown as well. Like this whole foursome here, I wouldn't fault anyone, but I think, Diggs is the stud. He's consistently produced amazing numbers. I don't know. That pick makes a lot of sense. So we start off with Chase and Diggs. We're feeling good. We're really liking that. I can pull up the roster here. You can see it on the left. After we go, Mahomes goes in round 3. We have not had another quarterback yet, even though I put it at very high. So I would expect a run very, very soon. Mark Andrews goes to pick before us. We actually probably would have considered him for this pick. We see AJ Brown go, Olave, Amon St. Brown, Garrett Wilson. Perfect. That'll happen. Tony Pollard, Etienne, Najee Harris, Aaron Jones. I would say Aaron Jones, unlikely to go this early. No more Aaron Rodgers. We can't really know how much Jordan Love is going to throw to the running backs. Unlikely. Unlikely he goes in the early 3rd round this season. He'll be a good pick, but not that early. Where do I have him? Because I'm usually the Aaron Jones truther. So I have him at 312, late 3rd round. So if I'm usually someone who values him higher than the market, getting him in the early 3rd round is probably not a good pick. So we can look at Hawkinson. I have Hawkinson at 306. We're drafting at 306, so that would be a fine pick. We typically like to get players behind where we have them ranked, obviously, right? Like if you're getting someone ranked or you're picking someone exactly where they're ranked, it's neutral value. It's a perfectly fine pick, but, you'd prefer someone to have fallen. Waddle I have at 309, so a little bit back from there. T. Higgins at 305, so we have T. Higgins there. I feel like, am I too high on T. Higgins having him at 305? Is this a good range for T. Higgins? I'm not scared of the wide receivers they drafted. And I won't be drafting him with this pick because I have Jamar Chase. I really wouldn't double dip and take both of them. On Underdog, do it for the correlation. If you can get a Chase, Higgins, Burrow stack, that's awesome. Redraft league, you don't need the correlation, and it can really hurt you in their down weeks. Not that, the 2 of them have a ton of down weeks, but it's not something you need to attack. And if you're going to correlate in a redraft league, you probably don't want to do it in the first 3-4 rounds. You're investing a lot of draft capital. Burrow gets hurt, you just lose. I don't want that to happen. So not really considering him. I would consider Waddle with this pick, though. I mean, pretty safe pick. We know he's going to be productive. We know the offense is flowing through Waddle and Tyreek Hill, so I wouldn't be against that. My thing would be, I've already taken 2, and I know I can start 4 in a full PPR league. It's just more likely I'm going to start 4 wide receivers. But I do a little bit lock myself into a box saying, okay, if there's awesome value in the next 2 rounds, I probably can't start with 5 wide receivers. But also, if it's devalued a little bit for me. I already have 2. And so I'd prefer to get a really good value. Like I'd prefer if like, Olave was still on the board, if like, Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, if like one of those players fell to me and I was like, let's go, like this is an insane start, then I'll do it. I feel like because that didn't happen, no, it's wide receiver. So let's cross off wide receiver. Hawkinson, still in my mind. Again, not a value pick, just exactly neutral value, but I like starting off with tight ends early on. If Hawkinson hits his ceiling and has, he could have like, he could have like 100 receptions this season. Yardage probably won't be crazy, but if he had 100 receptions, over 1,000 yards, and like 10 touchdowns, you're looking good, right, for having him in full PPR. So definitely on the board there. Running back, we're not going to go Dalvin Cook this early. The contract situation, though it's looking more and more likely he's going to stay with the team, just not knowing if he's going to be there, it's just a little bit too risky when even if we knew he was going to be there, it's not like he'd be some insane pick at the spot anyway. So I don't think we're going to go with Dalvin Cook. I don't think we're going to go with Pierce this early in a full PPR league. I don't think we're going to go with running. Oh, Gibbs. Okay, so the only running back we're considering right now is Gibbs. I have him in full PPR at 208, way ahead of ADP. I'm imagining ADP is going to change, and this is not unique to Fantasy Pros. On Underdog as well, I have him well ahead of ADP. People are not taking him super early. The Lions tried to trade for Deebo Samuel. I'm going to probably bring this up a lot this summer, so you'll probably be annoyed how much I talk about this, but it's just like when we have these situations when a very, very good talent lands on a team where it's like probably the best team in football. If you have a running back, you want them on the Lions. On a coaching staff that we know really wants them, takes them 12th overall, who was trying to trade for Deebo Samuel to use in the same sort of way that they're now going to use Jahmyr Gibbs. It's just like they're going to feature him. That doesn't mean 20 carries. It means, I don't really know, to be honest, like a good projection for the carries. But if we're looking at even like 12 to 15, if we're looking at that sort of range for carries, but we know even if it's 12, who cares? The receptions are what matters, and he's going to be heavily targeted, screen passes. They're just going to get him the ball on design plays, even if it's out of the backfield. It's overrated how much running backs line up as a wide receiver. I don't think that's going to happen a ton, but it could happen a little bit. And regardless, they're going to get the ball into his hands. And if this offense is going to do that, he's going to be highly productive, especially in full PPR. The question is, if we can get him at the next pick at 407, we've like won the league, right? Because that's insane value. We'd be able to add in like another high-end pick there. It would be incredible. 57. This is the theoretical ADP. Think about it. You're on Yahoo, you're on ESPN, you're in this decision. You're like, okay, 407 is what? 407 would be pick, is that 43? And so if we're looking at someone whose ADP, his ADP is 57, we should try and wait. Because if we make that decision over time, on average, we're going to get that pick, and it's going to work out for us in the long run to make super teams, which is what we want. So we're going to hold off. We're going to try and get Gibbs in the 4th round. If we can make that happen, what would be the best thing for our team? Also, theoretically, if we want to make this happen, we shouldn't take a running back here because we want these running backs on the board. If people want to be taking running backs around 3 and 4, well, I don't want to make it easier for them to draft Gibbs. I want to keep those running backs on the board, hope I can get them in the next round. So we're going to keep him there. This is a very long pick, but this is my whole thought process to everything. So we're not doing wide receiver. We're not doing running back. So we've got Hawkinson still over here. We've got the option to take Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen. I don't know which one I want to do because I did take, I think it was Allen at in like the last mock draft. So I did a mock draft where we took quarterback in the 3rd round, and I sort of want to, I think I want to take Hawkinson for that fact. I want to say this is a build where we do something different, right? We took tight end and quarterback early last time. Let's take the tight end early. Oh, I thought Gibbs was not going to be on the board there. I almost got scared. Did any? Oh my goodness. Wow. I guess only 3 running backs come off the board. I have to imagine there's going to be a run soon. But anyways, like I was saying, I didn't think they'd be there at the next pick. We weren't going to take them at the next pick. Actually, we probably would have taken Josh Allen at the next pick or Jalen Hurts. But I already took them early last time, so I want to do it again. At least back to back. Josh Allen goes. Hurts goes. Burrow goes. Nice. T. Higgins, Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, and Deebo Samuel come off the board. Javonte Williams come off the board. He will not be going this early. Olave, you man, is building just a horrendous start to this team. I mean, Ken Walker, Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, just going with the youth at running back, but it's youth coming off a torn ACL, youth coming off a torn ACL and other ligaments in the knee, a youth player that we have like other running backs drafted to where they're devalued now. Also takes Metcalf. I mean, this is just a full team of people who have been losing in free agency, in injuries, all this sort of thing in the draft. So tough start for that team. I don't remember if I said everything else, but it was Javonte Williams, Montgomery, and DeAndre Swift off the board. So we're looking at running back. Theoretically, we could try and play the ADP game one more time. I sort of don't want to do that because I find it very hard to believe that Gibbs is going to have an ADP in the 5th round once we are all said and done. If you're drafting right now, 506 is 54. It would be just a home run play to not draft him and get him at the next pick. I want to try and make these a little bit more realistic. So even though there is a 5, what's predictor even mean? The odds of this player being picked in the next round. Yeah. So even though there's a 5% chance of it happening, even though we'll get a worse grade at the end of this because of it, to make it more realistic, let's take him here. I do not think he would actually be available at our next pick. So we take Gibbs. Current roster. I'll pull up on the left. Gibbs at running back. Chase, Diggs at wide receiver. Diggs, Gibbs. I'm going to screw that up, I'm sure, when I'm saying it next time. Hawkinson at tight end. Pull up the cheat sheet. Quarterback's an option. Lamar, Fields, Herbert. Probably not Lawrence this early, though Lawrence, exceptional upside still. Those other ones are definitely more in consideration for us. At running back, not in love with anyone. I would say Dameon Pierce is definitely sticking out the most. Dobbins, if this wasn't a full PPR league, but we just know for a fact he's not going to have those receptions, that hurts. It really hurts his ceilings. Dude needs like 15 touchdowns to like truly hit at this spot in like a full PPR league. Mixon, if we knew that he was staying on Cincy, but in the 5th round for me right now, that's a little bit tough for me to get behind. Rashad White, also tough for me to get behind this early. James Conner, tough for me to get behind. So not in love with it. And we do see a drop-off. These are not, rock-solid running backs coming up here. I mean, there's some like good players, but definitely a lot of problems coming up. So Dameon Pierce, definitely on the board for us. If we're looking at wide receiver, Lockett, fine. McLaurin, fine. Christian Watson, Mike Williams, Ayuk. But I would say if we're looking at drop-off here, I mean, these are all good players. I mean, what's the difference between McLaurin and, Mike Evans, Treylon Burks, Calvin Ridley, Jahan Dotson even? What even is the drop-off between Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson where there's 13 wide receivers going between them? I mean, no. Or I guess would that be 12 wide receivers between them? 13 wide receivers after. So I don't think we're really considering wide receiver with this pick because I'm positive that our next pick we'll get a perfectly fine one, and we already have 2. So cross the wide receiver off. Quarterback, we'll probably not attacking. We're definitely not attacking tight end. I mean, we already have one. So I think we go with Pierce. Let's just see what the rankings have. The rankings are not in love with that pick, having him as a 6th round grade. Though to be fair, maybe I'm too low on the Dameon Pierce. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Pierce. Winner from the draft. Offense should be better this season. Locked in is the number one. Singletary's there. I talked about this before, though, I talked about Pierce, I believe, in the running back video, that, for them not drafting anyone, me not being a Singletary truther, Pierce a clear winner. It's not even that I hate the running backs I have ranked ahead of him. It's just, I don't know. I think I need to move him up. And he can catch. He can be used in receiving. I don't think it'll be a ton. I think we go with him. What do they have? They have Pierce. Oh, well, I'm sorted by running back, so that makes sense. They do have Pierce as the top player. They do have running backs as the top players on the board. I just think, given our thought process, really the only pick for us was Lamar. And I have him as an appropriate pick here in the 5th round. I want to see what happens if we wait. Let's go with Pierce. Let's lock this running back up. I think that's a perfectly fine pick. I don't think it's a worse pick than they're indicating here. So I guess that makes up for us flip-flopping on the Gibbs one. But I think the thought process makes sense. Okay. Pull up the draft board. McLaurin goes after us. For wide receivers, it's McLaurin, Lockett, Judy, Ayuk, and Brown. Yep. Figured that would happen. Connor, Dobbins, White, Mixon. Yep. Only Herbert off the board. So we're looking definitely at value right now at quarterback, especially for me telling them to take them early. Whoever wanted to take tight end, though. Yeah, I get Kittle in the 6th round. It's a pretty good value. Who are the top tight ends on the board? We're not taking tight end. I'm just curious. I was curious where did I not mention? Oh, I just didn't. Okay. I was saying I don't remember saying the word Pitts because I didn't talk about it. Goddard and Pitts come off the board as well. I was going to say it's good value for Pitts now too. But yeah, if you were drafting, if I hadn't taken Hawkinson, Kittle would be an option here. Though I was making the player notes, I don't know, a few weeks ago. I was writing up Kittle, and it was I had to move him down in the rankings because I didn't have very many positive things to say about him. He's not the top option. It has been a while since he's had a dominant season. You always do have these injury concerns with him. He's not injury prone, but, he doesn't always finish the season. And it's just I was going through everything, and I was basically for him to break out, you need injuries. You absolutely need injuries. You need one of Ayuk or Debo to get injured. You also need Brock Purdy to, be solid, or at least, maybe Lance breaks out, but you probably want Purdy to break out and have a really good season. And I was just going through everything, and I was it doesn't feel great investing a 5th round pick into Kittle this season. There's just, I don't know. I just don't really see the ceiling getting hit. He has these monster games, but he has so many games where he doesn't really provide you that much value. So I'm not in love with him this season, basically, in short. I think we go with Lamar, though, just to kind of wrap that up. We're in a spot where it is just a good idea to be taking quarterback. I know we're abandoning wide receiver a little bit longer, but I still think we're going to get where'd my mouse go? Oh, there it is. I think we're still going to get a really solid wide receiver our next pick. I was going to say I kind of agree with the drop-off here, but I think there's a drop-off just because they have Pickens at 35 and Sutton here. Ridley's awesome. Dotson's awesome. Cooks is awesome. How much worse are they than Burks, Evans, Kirk? Is there a world where we take Lamar, round 7 and round 8, we take 2 wide receivers? Could we get Calvin Ridley and Jahan Dotson? That would be insane. That'd be amazing if we could get that. It's the hope. It's the dream. Let's see if it happens. But I just look at the rankings. Actually, Fields is a little bit ahead of Lamar. Quickly thinking about that in my head. Let me know. What do you guys think on that one? There's 2 things I want you to let me know on. I forget what the first one even was. Oh, yeah. How do you feel about Pierce, where I took him? And then also Fields versus Lamar. And I don't think I'm going to do this for the player breakdown, but that reminds me, please let me know in the comment section, the Thursday video, who should I break down? Every single Thursday, we're doing a breakdown of 2 or 3 players that are really close to each other in either my rankings or an ADP, something like that, where you don't know which one to take. I don't think I'll do Lamar versus Fields, but I guess if you guys don't say anything, maybe I'll do that one. But yeah, let me know. I usually like to go a little bit earlier, maybe first 4 rounds, but if you guys don't say anything, I'll do that one. But I think I'll just stick with my rankings here. We'll take Fields, and we'll hope we can get 2 of those wide receivers, 1 on our next pick, 1 after that. Well, it's not going to happen because They're both not even on the board at the 7th round pick, but it would have been cool if it happened. Big run at wide receiver. Surprise, surprise, through our receiver league. But Mike Evans, Ridley goes a little bit before us. Mike Williams, not Mike Evans. Mike Williams or Mike Evans still on the board. So Williams, Watson, Kirk, Pickens, Ridley, Deontay all come off the board. Kittle goes. That's a great value. This team's really good. Crying Tannehill. It's probably a pun there. I don't really know. Ryan. Wow, that's embarrassing. Anyways, this is a good team. They go Lockett, ETN, rounds 1 and 2. They abandon running back. They go Amon St. Brown. Hopkins, probably a little earlier than I'd like. Keenan Allen, good pick in PPR. Definitely they're going with like an older roster there, especially with Kittle. But they take Kittle. They take Lamar. It's a good build. It's a good build. It's definitely better than this trash team over here. So we're going to go wide receiver. We've abandoned it long enough. There's no running backs that are sticking out to us. We're not going tight end. We took our quarterback. Like, we're just taking the top wide receiver in our rankings. I actually don't have Hopkins. I thought I'd have him a lot lower. I have Hopkins at 411, so that actually wasn't that terrible of a pick. Top ranked wide receiver. Christian Watson went. Lockett is gone. DJ Moore is gone. Ayuk gone. Kirk gone. Jackson still on the board, but ADP wise, smart for us to hold off on that one. I'm surprised. Oh wait, did I say? So yeah, Burks feels like the top pick here. So theoretically, top pick is Jackson. We're looking at Burks. Did I skip over? I feel like I have. Just looking at the rankings, I feel like I have Jahan Dotson and Mike Evans a little bit too low. I think I need to bump them up because they're not the top players, and I feel like they should be the top players off the board right now. So we'll keep that in the back of our minds. I think, yeah, I guess so. Someone actually said in the comment section, like, oh, I could see a world where Baker has almost basically saying, remember that season that everyone thought Winston would be bad, but then we have Mike Evans and Godwin just like dominate. What were they, like second and third or something like that for wide receivers, like overall? He just has an awesome season. They're saying, oh, I could see Baker doing that. I mean, like, there's a world where everything happens, right? There's a world where Baker's a quarterback won the season in fantasy, not the, and that, you know, obviously he's going to bring Evans and Godwin with him. I think it's unlikely. I don't project it happening, but maybe we are a little bit too low on just the chances that Baker just like slings it around a bunch, that they're down, that he's just an aggressive quarterback. So if he's just chucking it up to Evans and Godwin a bunch, could that hit? My lean, though, is to stick with my rankings to say Treylon Burks, wide receiver 1, clearly with no clear second, first round pick, ascending talent. They got to get him the ball because who else do they have? So it just feels like a very quality pick. There's just something about me that doesn't want to do it because it's like I'm taking Treylon Burks over Mike Evans. The man's had 1,000 yards every year of his career. He's still got it. He's still Mike Evans. That's a tough one. A lot of ones I want you guys. Just let me know what your thoughts basically in the comment section on all of these picks. What do you think? Where should I be going with these ones? What's the difference in projection? 185.5 for Mike Evans, 193.6. It's an 8-point gap. I mean, that's, it's 4 receptions in full PPR. That's a brutal one. I'm going to stick with the projections. I know it seems like I should be taking Evans there. I'm going to stick with them. I'm going to take him. Pacheco's fallen. Well, again, it's a full PPR league. He's not going to have many of these receptions. After us, Waller goes. Evan Ingram goes. 2 quarterbacks go. Dak and Watson. I really like where we got Fields there. Sutton. Jahan, unfortunately, comes off the board. Jameson Williams, Juju, Brendan Cooks, and only Algier at running back. So we have had a stretch since my last pick, or since the Fields pick. We had a full, is that a full 2 rounds? Is that how it works? Yeah, like a full 2 rounds comes off the board. One running back, Algier. Nothing else. That's pretty crazy. I mean, that's, a little bit surprising that it happened. Probably makes sense for us to capitalize on that, right? I mean, running backs are going to come off the board soon. Pacheco makes sense at this spot. Herbert makes sense. James Cook makes sense. AJ Dillon. Then we really get into a range where it's like, these are all backups. These are all players who need injuries to hit. Pacheco doesn't need an injury to hit. He's the best running back that Kansas City has. Now, is there a risk that Fournette, Ezekiel Elliott, Kareem Hunt, these players go to Kansas City? Yeah, absolutely. And that would crater the value of Pacheco. That's my hesitation. With Herbert, I have hesitations that, Roschon is just good, that one of him or Foreman is going to be used as the 2. They've already been talking about Roschon, about how he might be able to be used in the receiving game. We know Herbert's not a good receiving back, so it really hurts him in full PPR. Yeah. That's tough. I kind of want to go with Pacheco with this pick, though, because we're not going quarterback. We're not going tight end. I could go with JSN. Okay, so they're saying 23% chance he's there at our next spot. I feel like that's how you draft. I always go back to it. That's how you draft a league-winning roster. We've got our 3 wide receivers. If we can get Pacheco and then JSN, that's awesome. I mean, JSN can have 100 receptions this season. Do I think it's worth it taking Pacheco when I know there's still a decent chance that they sign one of these free agents? I don't think they should. I think Pacheco's good enough, but I guess they signed McKinnon. So McKinnon's there. They've got Clyde still under contract. He's still there. They have Pacheco. Why would they need to sign Fournette? Why would they need to do that? It doesn't feel like it makes them a whole lot better. I'm going to risk it. I'm going to take Pacheco in that off chance. We're going to hope that JSN's still on the board. He goes literally 2 picks after this. That's very unfortunate for us. I think it made sense to try, though. Try and get that. Because we're still sitting here. There's good wide receivers on the board. It's a clear drop-off. It's very unfortunate. We didn't hit our ceiling. And maybe we shouldn't have, because we could have just taken James Cook, at this pick. We could have JSN and Cook. Instead, we're going to have Pacheco and, probably Michael Thomas, right? Michael Thomas is a 7th-round pick. Elijah Moore's intriguing. I haven't been able to make the math work on Elijah Moore yet. Let's pull up the wide receiver only rankings, just because it's going to be tough for me to scroll through everything. I have Elijah Moore right now at 10th round. So we're in 9th. It's not bad, but I'm an Elijah Moore truther. I think he's a great talent. And I have Cleveland projected to be a very pass-heavy team, much more pass-heavy than last season, running plenty of plays with more of the decent target share. And it's I can't make it work. So maybe I need to figure something else out. Maybe I need to make him more efficient. Because let's be honest, he's been playing with awful quarterback play. We have to assume it's going to be better this season for Watson. So maybe I need to up his efficiency or something, but I haven't been able to make him work as a pick. But I got to move him up because I feel like he is a good pick in this range, just projection-wise. I don't have that as being the case. But yeah, Michael Thomas, a risky pick, obviously. He could play 1 game and be injured. There's also a man who, had 1 billion receptions not that many years ago. I think the big thing is Olave's the one, obviously, right? He's well ahead of him. They don't really have anyone else that's like really challenging Michael Thomas for that number 2 spot. We know that he's going to work in that short area of the field, and we have definitely seen Derek Carr succeed in that area. If he can stay healthy, if he stayed healthy last season, he was going to have a good year. We could tell right off the bat he was going to. Not going to see double coverage now that, it's difficult to cover double cover on the short routes, but then also Olave's the one. I think he's worth the risk given that, I was going to pull up cheat sheet. I think he's worth the risk given what we have, right? Like if we look at our roster now, we know Chase is going to be good. We know Diggs is going to be good. We're pretty confident Burks is going to have a huge role and be good. So taking Michael Thomas as a player who can rotate in the flex spot when he's healthy, I think that offers a lot of upside to our team. So to run through the team one more time, we've got 5 picks left on the bench, and then we will take a defense. We've got Justin Fields, Jamar Gibbs. Also, is it Jameer or Jamar? Someone help me with that one. Gibbs. We'll go with the running backs first. Gibbs, Pierce, Pacheco at running back. We'll need a little bit more depth, even though it's a PPR league. We're probably playing wide receiver in flex. We need a little bit more depth there. Wide receiver, Chase, Diggs, Burks, Michael Thomas. At quarterback, we've got Justin Fields. At tight end, we've got TJ Hawkinson. We will not be taking a tight end or a quarterback the rest of the draft. I will stop mentioning those positions. We will take defense last. 5 picks in a row will be running back and wide receiver. I think because I have 4 wide receivers already, only 3 running backs, I think I want to make it even just because we took Chase and Diggs in the first 2 rounds. They're kind of locked in there. So I think I want to do 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers to close it. I am pretty confident we can get a wide receiver I like with our final pick. So that means of the next 4 rounds, I want 3 running backs. I want to make sure I can rotate in different running backs. I can hit at these positions. I want to be taking sleepers here. I want to be taking players who can really outperform their ADP. 2 are screaming at me right now. Pirine, Madison, right at the top. Both of them definitely make a lot of sense. Pirine on Denver. We have no clue if Javonte Williams is going to start the season healthy. Our lean right now is that he's not going to start the season healthy. Now, if it's weird, because we basically have to choose what do we think is going to happen. If we think Dalvin Cook gets cut or traded, one of those two, which is again looking a little bit less likely right now, but still possible, he probably goes to Denver. And if that happens, it crushes Pirine and it makes Madison a much better pick. If he doesn't, and maybe Denver doesn't sign another running back, and they stick with Pirine as the lead back while Williams is, out or limited, well, now Madison's a bad pick, and Pirine is a really good pick. So it's really just comes down to what we think is going to happen. And I don't know what's going to happen, right? It's basically a 50-50 in my mind. I suppose let's just go with who I have ranked higher. I'm sure they're very close to each other. But let's pull up the rankings. Let's see who's got that spot. Madison, 131.6. Pirine, pick after, 129.2. 2.5 points. Better for Madison. All right. Let's hope there was no one else, right? Let's just make sure. Yeah, you could theoretically go with like one of these free agents, Zeke, Fournette. Yeah, there's no one else. I mean, Madison obviously has so much upside if we don't get Dalvin Cook on the roster anymore. Look at a wide receiver. Nothing standing out to me. I think we're just going to take 2 rookies with this pick. Let's just think about 2 high upside rookies we can get. Maybe we'll just take them in the last 2. I mean, like if we could take, Mingo is one that I would definitely want to have on the roster. People got I say people got to update the rankings. I'm theoretically one of the people that feeds into the Fantasy Pros rankings, and I don't give them my rankings. So I'm one of the people that it's like, hey, please update the rankings. But yeah, like Jane Reed, Rashee Rice, Marvin Mims for some upside, Mingo. If I landed 2 of them, cool with that. So maybe we just go running back, take both of them, defense, and we'll be done here. Is there anyone that we're looking at super late? A-Chain. Devon A-Chain, definitely we want. Kendre Miller, if Alvin Kamara gets suspended, I think it's Jamal Williams as the lead back. But if you were to tell me that Kendre Miller could be the lead back, I'd be like, oh, definitely. Kid's really, really good. He can contribute in all areas of the game. They took him, as the third running back way earlier than a lot of people thought. Yeah, he could absolutely be really, really good in fantasy. And honestly, if we're looking at, I want to end this draft just being like, let's just take Kendre Miller, Devon A-Chain, Jonathan Mingo, and I don't know, whoever between Rashee Rice and Jayden Reed. I guess Jayden Reed has a better path. I think it's extraordinarily likely that he starts the season. He'll be in 3 wide receiver sets for sure. It's going to be Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Jayden Reed. Can he beat out Doubs? Because we know Watson. There was a little bit of a spark with Doubs last summer. We know it's Christian Watson is the one. Can Jayden Reed? And if he can to start the year as the 2, yeah, he's going to crush his ADP. Is it fair me taking that? I mean, actually, we're in the 11th round. I don't have these as like crazy values. A-Chain has as a 10th round pick, so it's not like I'm like cheating the system and getting someone who's going to be in the 6th round. Like I only have this as a 1 round value, but like Devon A-Chain got a dream landing spot, is probably going to have very, very good production this season. We'll go with Kendre Miller. I think we end the draft like this because I actually do think this is a realistically where these players can go. We might get an F in this Fantasy Pros grade. Off the top of my head, who would I like between Jayden Reed and Rashee Rice? Because the thought process is basically, obviously, I'd rather Kansas City. If they had the same role, I want the guy getting Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback. They don't have the same chance to be starting, though. Jayden Reed has a lot of mediocre wide receivers to contend with, but a lot of wide receivers that could be ahead of him, and like they don't need to play him right away. And that would be a concern, is that he kind of has almost like a blanking on the name. Their rookie wide receiver from last season. I mean, he's probably like on here. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. I can literally see him, Sky Moore. Like he could have a Sky Moore like season where it's like, oh yeah, he's probably going to produce, and then it's like they're playing, Justin Watson ahead of him, and you're like, why are you doing that? Like why? So that could happen. But my lean is just to say, okay, but like it's your last pick. I mean, if we're looking at upside, who has more upside? The guy catching passes from Jordan Love or the guy catching passes from Patrick Mahomes? Let's take the guy catching passes from Patrick Mahomes. So we take that. You could theoretically actually argue that defense was a better pick in the last round because we could have just taken a better defense, still gotten Rashee Rice there. So that's the one situation where I'm cool not taking defense earlier, is if you can get the sleeper. Once we get in August, if you're in a competitive league, you don't know what those sleepers are going to be there. People are going to take sleepers in the final round. Let's take the Patriots because they're pretty much always a good defense. They spent early picks on defense. Let's be honest, they're going to try and be a defense team. Yeah, we got a turbo grade, obviously, because we took these rookies. I actually looked at the projected standings. I went into it last time, and it said when we took JSN, we took him like the 6th or 7th round. So actually, I probably should have taken him in this draft. That's probably my one big mistake in this one. It said we took him 7 rounds ahead of ADP, and I was like, you're a liar. Like the system literally lied to us because I took him like the 6th or 7th round, and it said that his ADP was like a little bit after that, and it said I took him 7 rounds ahead of ADP. That's like the 14th. That's literally a lie. Like on the whatever, I don't know. So don't trust the grade for what they're doing. Here's our roster. Justin Fields. Our starting roster is Justin Fields, Jahmyr Gibbs, Dameon Pierce, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, Treylon Burks, Hawkinson. Probably not Pacheco. In week 1, I would probably play Michael Thomas. Then Patriots defense. So Pacheco would be the starter on the bench. 4 running backs on the bench. It would be Pacheco, Madison, Devon A-Chain, Kendre Miller. That's a lot of upside. I'm pretty sure one of those is going to hit. And then the only wide receivers we would have on the bench are Mingo and Rashee Rice, and maybe that's a little bit thin if we expect to start 4. But again, 1 and 2 are locked in with Chase and Diggs. Burks, I just find it unlikely we would have been drafting someone late that's going to outproduce Burks. And so it really would just be Michael Thomas, Mingo, Rashee Rice, and then whoever we find on free agency, whoever we trade for in the season, that would be rotating in to that flex spot. So let me know what you think about the team, and please let me know on these decisions for Thursday. If there is a draft decision that you are deciding between, let me know in the comment section. Upvote the ones you agree with, and if you don't pick one, I'm just going to go with Fields versus Lamar. So that'll do it for this one. Hope you all enjoyed. If you did, how about hitting the like button? How about subscribing to the channel if you're new here? Thanks for watching.